Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today is January 26, 2022, and I have a brief video to make about a call to action. As many of you know, there's currently a Cold War going on, and I'd say in Washington, D.C., against cryptocurrencies by certain parties. And they've been tremendously successful at sneaking in certain bureaucrats into high positions of power and passing pieces of legislation like the infrastructure bill with catastrophically damaging language. Well, let's talk about the latest monster of the week. This is brought to you by Representative Jim Himes. Okay. So Jerry Brito threw up the flag today on Twitter. He says, because Treasury is required under current law to notify the public, seek public input. He's talking about Bill. Had the wrong tweet. Hang on a second. Yeah, go back up to the top here. So I just retweeted this. Important. Included in the America Competes Act, or doesn't compete, just introduced in the House and will likely very likely pass in some form as a provision that would be disastrous, not just for cryptocurrency, but for privacy and due process in general. So let's read the blog post about this. Title is New Bill Would Hand Treasury Blank Check to Ban Crypto at Exchanges. And not just crypto. Provision in the America Competes Act would allow Treasury to secretly prohibit any kind of transaction it deems a concern without any public notice or input. So those who understand the Bank Secrecy Act, it gave the Treasury Secretary very significant powers called special measures, and it's mentioned here. So it says another must-pass bill, another rush policy that severely damages the privacy and constitutional rights of cryptocurrency users. We've just seen language in the America Competes Act of 2022, see page 1482, a bill ostensibly about economic competitiveness with China that would strip all administrative procedures and safeguards from the imposition of the so-called special measures prohibitions in the Bank Secrecy Act, while simultaneously expanding authority for such prohibitions to cryptocurrency activities. In brief, it would hand the Treasury Secretary unchecked discretion to forbid financial institutions, including cryptocurrency exchanges, from offering their customers access to cryptocurrency networks. Okay, so basically, BSA gives the Treasury Secretary a power to say, hey, there's something here that we're concerned about. And he can temporarily ban it for up to 120 days. And at that point, he needs a public hearing, a public inquiry to go through the process of formalizing that special concern. Basically, what happened is this guy decided last year to sneak this into the National Defense Authorization Act. It failed, got removed from the bill because people realized how damaging it would be to hand one bureaucrat who's unelected unilateral authority to ban any financial transaction in the United States with no public hearing. Right? We'd like to believe that that's probably a good idea in a checks and balance government. So this congressman decided to take that exact same language that was stripped out of the old NDAA bill that couldn't get passed and put it into America Competes right here. And if this is passing, it would give Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, the unilateral authority to indefinitely ban all cryptocurrencies in the United States with no public hearing, no checks and balances, no say. Just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and say, that crypto stuff is real bad. Let's just get rid of it. And we're just going to hand it in a bill, apparently, that's trying to be passed as part of this broader agenda to compete with China by destroying a $2 trillion part of our economy. You can't even make this shit up anymore. I was very diplomatic with the infrastructure bill. We called senators. We said, hey, let's get around. And then we got Shelby'd. Now they're just throwing it in there. And why would Jim do this? Well, here's his Wikipedia page for what that's worth. Let's look through. He went to Harvard. Okay. Yeah, he spent some time in Lima. All right, there we go. Went to Oxford. Oh, that's good. Oh, here we go. 1995, Himes began working at Goldman Sachs as a banker in Latin America, New York, and eventually promoted to vice president. He's part of the Vampire Squid, one of the new Democrat coalition shills that came in from Connecticut's 4th Congressional District. and takes orders from the banking lobby. There you go. That's where the money came from. There is no transparency here. There's no checks and balances here. It's an unprecedented power grab, and it's being snuck into a bill, and there's an attempt to bury it. No debate. Just pass it immediately. We can't discuss it. And unfortunately, this particular bill, no matter what we say and do, will pass the Congress. The Senate depends on Joe Manchin because it's 50-50. Because this bill is part of the Biden agenda. It's a Democrat bill. Democrat House will pass it with a rubber stamp. No debate, no discussion. Get it through as quickly as possible. 1,400 plus pages. A lot of monstrosities there, crazy things. But in our particular industry, an unprecedented power grab for the Treasury Secretary. It removes any notion of checks and balances. And if you want to look at the language, it's right here. So this is the current section. And these are all the checks and balances, the things that are in red. We're just going to get rid of all of them. Fuck it. Let's just give the Treasury Secretary unilateral authority to do whatever the hell they want to do. Because why not? You voted for that person, right? Oh, no, actually you didn't. They're appointed. Huh. Oh, okay. No, but I'm sure they will be wise with the use of this power. I'm sure they wouldn't possibly wake up on the wrong side of the bed when they get all their money for the people who lose money from these things existing and just ban it. It's a fucking joke. It's a goddamn joke. And it's sickening. This was defeated once before. And Jerry even references that in one of his tweets as we go down here. Number 10. This provision was first introduced as an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act by good old Jim. And it couldn't get through because it was a horrible idea then. And now it's back, and it's been snuck into a bill that has a high probability of passing the House. And whether it passes the Senate or not is completely dependent upon whether Joe Manchin wakes up on the left side or the right side of the bed. One person. So we have to go back to the drawing board and try to trust the democratic process, I guess. Message your congressmen, message your senators, and tell them maybe giving unilateral authority to the Treasury Secretary to ban any asset in the United States at any time they want with no public oversight and hearing, with no process, and just do whatever the hell they want. And you can see the language right here stripped out. Not a good thing. I mean, look at this language. Form of requirement. The special member described in subsection may be imposed in subsequent combination of secretary shall, and these paragraphs do these things. And you have 120 days, and then you have to hold a public hearing, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, but we're just going to get rid of all that. Instead, just hand absolute power to one person who's not elected and give that person the power to ban all cryptocurrency in the United States. We have this industry as long as we fight for this industry. If you're an Ethereum fan listening, a Solana fan listening, an NFT fan listening, a Bitcoin fan listening, all of you are impacted by this. Every single one of you. At what fucking point do you stand up and say, we've had enough, don't do this? Every politician who votes for this, primary them. Donate money to the people who run against them. Vote against them. How can you be a cryptocurrency fan and first allow the infrastructure bill to pass with this horrible thing that makes it exceedingly difficult to operate basic infrastructure in the United States? And now the next step on the unending agenda is for them to pass something to give one person with no debate or recourse unilateral authority to end all financial institutions from participating in cryptocurrencies. With this bill, Janet can wake up tomorrow, if it passes, and say, you know, I don't think Coinbase should trade Bitcoin. Okay? She would have the power to do that. This is not a joke. It's not a drill. It's not a test. This is an industry, a $2 trillion industry that's liberating mankind from where it's at to a better state of affairs. And every single one of these pieces of legislation are attempts by those who would dominate and control us to drag us back down to a system where they have all the power, we have no say, and they print enough money every year to deflate the money in your pocket by 20%. How do you save? You see the Great Reset agenda. They say you'll own nothing and be happy. This is how you get there. Bill by bill by bill. And I understand why Jim's doing it. He's bought and sold by the banks, it looks like. So he's a Goldman boy. Great. But we don't have to put up with it. We don't have to tolerate it. We don't have to accept it. We call a spade a spade. When you see this stuff, share it. Get mad as hell. Donate. Voice your opinion. Write your congressman. Write your senator and tell them their vote is how you vote. If they allow these things to pass unadulterated without debate, then next time they go up for election, they don't get reelected. We got an election coming up in 2022. It's pretty pertinent. This bill cannot pass. It's already so hard to undo the damage that the infrastructure bill has. We're trying to come up with a strategy for it. I have two of my people heading to Washington, D.C. today to attend various events with the Government Blockchain Association and meet senators, congressmen, and other people. Every opportunity we have, we try really hard to communicate and be nice about it. We're not saying bend over backwards and make this industry great, but when you give unilateral authority to just end an entire industry to one person who doesn't even understand what the hell is going on with the industry, that doesn't solve any problem. All that does is it creates a reality where we live in constant fear. Will tomorrow be the day? Will Sunday be the day? Will Monday be the day? Good actors, people waking up every day, trying to build great products, who are already regulated in many cases, still have to live in unending fear because, well, Jim wants to put this in so Goldman can give him some more money. It's despicable. It's absolutely despicable, and it has to stop. And we cannot allow, whenever they do these things, for them to slip through. When they do these things, there has to be consequences, political consequences, financial consequences. And they know that when you fight crypto, you're fighting a constituency of tens of millions of people in the United States and hundreds of millions of people across the world and the new economy. Just like when you attack the internet, you were attacking the last economy that came from it. And I, for one, I'm pretty mad. I'm pretty pissed off about this. It just ruined the whole morning. You know, we have so much work to do just to get the technology where it needs to be, just to get the industry where it needs to be. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that's coming. And then this comes down the pipe and they expect to pass it through in a bill saying they're going to compete with China. It's almost a parody at this point. It's a disgusting parody. So anyway, I figured I'd bring it to everybody's attention. Highly recommend that you read the entire Coin Center blog. It's not very long. It just came out today. Jerry and Peter wrote it. Has a link to the act, has a link to the specific provisions, talks about it, and there's a call to action. Not many more of these videos we can make, because if we keep losing, then at some point I won't be allowed to make these videos. It's up to you guys. We either stand together as an industry, or we let our petty differences and stupidity divide us and get picked apart one by this. And then nobody gets to play. It's a republic if you can keep it.